And you've lived in Guwahati too, if you go there now, you'll probably get a brain freeze, it'll be like,
I was not sure the gender, our gender, woman gender,
Hmm.
like especially in your field.
yes.
Do you sometimes become invisible? Do you feel like that? Or have you always found yourself, secure?
I just wish that this changes in the near future. If you're talking, I mean, we can't be regressive. We can't be having this whole my birth certificate is from Assam. Your birth certificate is, but there was this whole tension in everyone's mind. When this whole thing was going on. When it comes to women and children, yes, as a woman myself, I don't feel that is right. It was very. It was horrifying to see that. Some very nice, some not so nice things.
Those are not so nice parts.
Not so nice parts is like, okay, so
There are some incidents, juicy gossips.
in a broad daylight, he's completely naked.
Oh my god.
He has a gamcha in the head.
Welcome back to another episode of Everyday Ordinary. Today we're meeting another wonderful woman, and she is from Assam and she happens to work as a freelancer here as she travels around for her work. Let's go meet her and see how much gossip we can do with her. Come. So yes, we're here. We'll just walk and talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
So Pallavi.
Yes.
Hello
Hi.
again.
Hi, Shim. Yes.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Is it already afternoon?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, we are
it's so
reaching.
late already.
Yeah, 1:30, quarter to 2.
Yeah. Yeah. So Pallavi,
Yes.
why don't you tell us first what exactly do you do?
Okay. So I started off as a journalist. So I'm from Guwahati, from Assam, as you know. And after my 12th, I moved to Bombay. I was in Sophia College. I did my journalism from there. And then I moved on to Delhi after my graduation. I worked there as a media person for some time. I worked with magazines such as L'Officiel. I worked with Telegraph. At a time, I was heading their lifestyle section back in Guwahati, which was around 2012. At that time, lifestyle was a very new concept in Guwahati. Not many people were doing it or would even understand it. So yeah, all of that. And then I did fashion PR. So I used to work with Rohit Bal as his publicist.
Oh, nice.
So
nice.
yeah, I've always been in this communications, media sort of space. And as of now, I live in Goa. So, I did not want that whole grind of 9 to 5. So,
And how long has it been, Goa?
so I moved here right after COVID. So I was in Delhi during COVID, and Delhi was very dreary for me. So I
For
said, okay,
everybody it is.
yes. So that's why I just had to leave the city and move to greener pastures, as in Goa.
You were talking about your stay in Delhi,
Yes,
during the COVID time.
yes.
Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it was very jarring because it was at a time when we didn't know what to expect from a situation like that. So I was stuck there, just like many other people. The only thing was I was stuck alone in a house, like in a 4 BHK, just the one person, and it was tough because okay, although I had a boyfriend there at the time, I also wanted to kind of be in my own space and not live with somebody's parents and da da da.
Why did you choose Goa of all the place?
For me, it's always been the nature. I mean, after COVID, I think one thing became very apparent for me. I want to live in a place where there's a lot of greenery, a lot of nature, because, growing up in the Northeast, this is what we grew up with. Now things are very different. So, you always have that soul connection for things that you like. And for me, it's the nature. And why you won't be in Goa? I mean, look at this.
She chose this place, such a beautiful place.
See, I mean, that is pretty much the reason for me. Like I told you, I've been living in cities for a long time. I mean, after Bombay, I went to Delhi. I've done the grind there, 7, 8 years of living there. It's a different place. It's a different understanding. I feel Goa for me is the closest to home because, I come from a small town. Even you're coming from Manipur, so you would know what I'm trying to say. It's just something familiar about a small place. Like I know in Guwahati, if I'm getting bored and I don't know where to go. I'm not going to go to a fancy coffee shop or a mall. I would go take a walk near the river and feel better in like 10 minutes. And that's the same thing that I can do in Goa. And no, Delhi wasn't allowing me, so Delhi had to go. So that's pretty much one of the reasons. Yeah.
And working as a freelancer, you have been working freelancer for how long?
So it's close to 4 years now.
4 years?
Yeah, as a freelancer,
Yeah,
completely. Yeah,
And do you feel more secured as a freelancer, or do you think,
In-
or do you regret being a freelancer?
I think it cuts both ways. As a freelancer, I think the only thing that works for me is, I can work from home or from anywhere, that I don't have to go report to an office. And, so it gives me that flexibility to be able to be wherever I want and work, like a digital nomad, which I pretty much like, as opposed to, going to a place and just working from there. So, but also as a freelancer, when you gotta get your payments, it's a lot of work. You're like, please, can you give me? And that happens to you even in a corporate job. But okay, corporate job, take a 5 tarik, my salary is coming, let's get it. But in a freelancer life, it's just like, okay, can you please make my payment? Can you please? It's a lot of please. So I think I don't like that part of it. But yes, I like the fact that I'm flexible, and I think COVID taught us one very important thing, which I would also like to let your viewers know, is that this structures of working in an office, and these are outdated now. I think we need to, especially the younger generations, or all of us, now we need to work in ways where it can be a collaborative. We work with friends. We work as a community, because I very much believe that community would be the future, and all these existing structures of hierarchy at some point is gonna, lose its lose its power. And
I think talking about community, I think every one of us eventually try to form our own community.
Very true. Yes,
Yeah,
in some ways.
in
Yes.
some way, I think,
Yes.
just to feel
Yes.
safer,
Yes,
secure, and
yes,
comfort.
especially when you're living away from home.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
like we are in a community now.
When you were going for journalism, did you always know ki,
I wanted to be a journalist.
yeah.
No.
So how did that happen?
So I grew up in a very strictly Bengali household where there is a lot of importance given to education. Like my parents really invested a lot, not in in other things, in terms of oh mujhe yahan pe jana. Like a lot of kids. Okay, yeah, dad, can I go here? Can I buy this? My parents always invested in my education because they felt that if they were giving us that, we could afford the rest, which again is true and not true, which I will come to later on. But I did not always think that I wanted to be a journalist. I think it happened because my strong foot, also math, I suck at it. I'm good more in like English or social studies, like all the art subject. So my father wanted me to be a commercial pilot. She said, okay,
Oh.
beti ko plane urane dete hai. Also because I was very tomboyish and very outgoing, as a kid. So that was pretty much what they were trying. But I because then they
And what about you?
sometimes I was like, okay, dad, I can't be a commercial pilot. Fashion designer, no. They were like, no, can't be a fashion designer. So I was like, okay, next, what's best? So then journalism just sort of like came to me, and I was like, okay, let's. I could talk, I could write well, I can speak. I think that was pretty much how it happened.
You were into journalism.
Yes.
फिर the diversion हुआ.
Into
Why did
PR,
that
yes.
diversion?
Completed my graduation in Bombay, and then I went to Delhi. And for some time, I was kind of looking for some internship work. And at the time, I had this friend who was working for Rohit Bal at the time in his agency. And we kind of, and he kind of pushed me. He's like, I see you as somebody who's very outgoing, you can have a chat with people, like a PR person. What does a PR person do? It's somebody who's just good with interacting with people, or talking, or just if it's a brand, you're sending the message out, you're talking about it. So you just felt that I have a natural fit there, which was all good until I realized, because being a journalist, I was a journalist before, right? My first job was actually with the Telegraph back in 2012 in Guwahati. And at the time, I was heading T2, which was the lifestyle section there. And it was just me and one other girl who was a little senior to me, because, at that time, I think Northeast didn't know what is lifestyle in general. We never had that segment of the newspaper. So yeah, we kind of started it. When he told me, okay, like why you don't try out PR, and it had a lot, like PR is also a lot of events, and I was in my 20s, you would want to go out, meet people, socialize. So yeah, it just seemed exciting. So I did that for a year, and right after a year, I realized, man, it's not sitting well for me, only because I didn't like this whole chasing business. Like there's a lot of chasing in terms of, sir, please, like, get a story for me, and da da da. And I realize I'm not somebody that I'm good at chasing people, or just like pleading with people. Yes, you can do it for a little while, but yeah, I mean, they're just people fit for that kind of thing, and I just feel that I'm not that kind of a person. I don't have that personality. So I was like, okay, ciao, So yeah.
Yeah.
So also it was good, because I think because everything is communications. Today brands rely big time on communications, and I feel all these PR, journalism, everything, it kind of works together, but they're separate, So it's how you kind of use it, and I just feel that it gave me a lot of experience, so I know, so I could choose for myself, So yeah.
Interesting that you said that you could choose for yourself.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Because my next question is
Yes.
about the gender, our gender, woman gender. Like especially in your field.
Yes.
Do you sometimes become invisible? Do you feel like that, or have you always found yourself, secure?
I had to tone everything down a little bit, and yes, it did make me insecure. Even now, we always doubt ourselves, and all of that. But yes, I'm also secure about the fact that I know that at the end of the day, when I'm going to bed, I'm going with a clean conscience. For me, that is very important. Everything else can come and go. But at the end of the day, when I'm happy with myself, I'm going to bed, with a clean head and heart. For me, that's enough. But again, going back, sorry, I'm diverting a little bit, but going back to your question, yes, it really took me some time to feel confident in who I am as a person, and in my skin. And it's not been easy. Even when I came to Goa and I started working here at Arjuna, and at the time, so Goa never had this culture of documenting things, right? So everything was, okay, you're going to come at 5 o'clock, you're going to play here for this amount, da, da, da.
Okay.
So I kind of got everything on papers, right? And people really did not like it at the time. I got a lot of flack from a lot of musicians, people that I kind of also know otherwise, and they told me, why is everything, Goa is kind of becoming like Delhi, and, because of the paperwork and all. I try to explain them. I said, look, this is a win-win for both parties. It's not like, you're going to have to pay taxes. This is just something that, we're going to keep here for us as a proof of your, that you've played here. So, it's just a proof, and it's also good for you, So yeah, yes, it takes time, but I think I'm also somebody, I'm stubborn, I also try to engage, and, I try to explain people as much as I can. But again, at the end of the day, it's kind of people's own, understanding of things. So I just leave it there. And yeah, that's pretty much that. So it took me some time to also be confident in knowing that, no, what I'm doing is right. And it's gonna help things in the long run. And now I think people more or less see,
Do you think in your profession you are heard the most, or do you feel you're just tolerated, or how is it?
The last recent thing that I did was I was writing for a travel company called Curtain Call Adventures, and they do curated travels in the Northeast. Yeah. And for me, okay, I mean, the person that I was working with, she gave me a lot of leverage to write and, draft things, because of course she read my writing, and she, like, when you read somebody's copy, if this person can kind of story tell or not. But also at sometimes, like, she would tweak things, she'd tell me, can you please tweak it, like, from a business point of view. So that's when I kind of understood that, okay, when I'm writing as a writer, and you have to kind of keep up with times and trends, so I was like, okay, no, I have to tweak it like that. And okay, it wasn't so difficult, but yes, I did in some places, yes, I got a lot of leverage to write a copy the way I probably would want to. But also there were times that I had to tweak things according to how people wanted it. But which is, again, once you join a profession, you get to know, you know.
And how does that affect you?
Um, uh, I think, probably if I was in my 20s, I'd probably get more affected. Nowadays, in my 30s, I don't get affected. I'm like, okay, client, you're going to pay me this much. All right, let's get this thing done. Yeah, I think that's the way to go ahead with it. Yeah.
Just show me the money. I'll
Yes,
write it down.
yes, absolutely. Yeah, whatever you like. Yeah,
That's so cool.
yeah,
So, talking about being a
Yeah.
northeasterner and being a woman, always from that perspective.
yeah.
Uh, when people talk about northeast,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
crisis, the issues,
Yes,
because that is the most thing that is highlighted, right?
yes.
What do you think is missed out a lot?
I think the warmth of the people. Let me tell you this. I think that the people in the Northeast are some of the warmest, some of the nicest people, not because I'm from there, but it's generally, you have to visit it to know. And I think that's really missing that people don't know that we are very welcoming, that we are, people with a lot of heart and soul. And that's why we are how we are. And, we have this big responsibility on our shoulders to make sure that our culture, of the region, and I'm especially talking about the tribes, like, it's our responsibility to hold on to these things, and, to educate people about our culture, to kind of tell them, like, guys, you haven't seen nothing. And another thing for me, which I very much feel, is when it comes to politics, and this is something very close to my heart. And I think that with this podcast, I will have a voice to say this, or speak on it, when the whole crisis in Manipur began. And I remember at the time, and I have tons of journalists on my Facebook feed, right? And what really caught my eye is, so there was these two women that were being paraded naked, okay? So for me, I don't take, sides about anything, but, when it comes to women and children, yes, as a woman myself, I don't feel that is right, it was very, very, it was horrifying to see that, and I was just thinking that, how nobody just spoke about it, the issue of Manipur. A lot of, I don't want to say mainlanders, because, then I don't want to divide, but again, I'll have to say this, because, I now I understand why people from the Northeast feel this attitude of, कि हमें थोड़ा separate रखा गया है, क्योंकि उसके लिए reasons है, there are reasons for it, because, people are still not aware, and now people are knowing more and more. But I just wish that, this changes, in the near future, if you're talking, I mean, we can't be regressive. We can't be, having this whole racist debates in our country, because I mean, we in the Northeast, we welcome everybody,
Yeah.
but I'm also not saying that Northeast doesn't have racism. There is a lot of racism in terms of, okay, oh, you're from the hills or you're from the plains, this sort of a thing. But I just feel that, it's 21st century. We cannot be living in the past, we cannot be living with what we have been conditioned with, it's one India, and we should all try to live together, as much, united, instead of this sort of divides between, oh, you are this and you are that, is just not my cup of tea.
Talking about politics, I
Yes.
guess, why don't you share, like,
Hmm.
your thoughts as a woman,
Yes. Yes.
the political instability of our
Hmm.
region,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How does it affect? How do you,
Oh, a very good question. So for me, I never understood how this politics of the region kind of shaped me as a person. But yes, of course, it did shape me. So, in the 90s, we had a lot of secret killing in Assam. And my uncle, my mother's eldest brother, was it was the first time something like that happened in my family, and I was too young to process it. I was like probably 4 years old, 5 years old, 93, 94 around. My uncle was kidnapped,
Oh.
right? And we never, we never got his body back,
Oh.
So, and of course, there were calls for ransom and, everything, which was, of course, given, and, but we never got it back. So, ठीक है, that happened. But, that incident, years later, I started to feel like, it's not like I didn't feel safe in my home, kind of, And also, I'm Bengali, right? So Bengalis are kind of still like a minority in Assam. It's a larger minority because there's Barak Valley also, if you know. So, but still in Guwahati, like I would try to kind of hide my identity, like I'd speak full Ohomia, but of course, I'm born in Assam, but I would try to hide that Bengali identity for a long time, and it wasn't because somebody told me to do it. It was just that when you see these things, you don't know how trauma shapes your brain. It's only after I kind of got into my 30s and I started to think, why was I acting a certain way? Why was I trying to hide my identity? It's also because I saw that my uncle actually, he was asked to stand for the elections. So it was also a political murder. At the end of it all, we figured out. So, and the ruling party, which was the Assam Gana Parishad at the time, Prafulla Mahanta, you've all probably know. So, so it was a political killing, So they asked him to stand for elections from Silchar, because Silchar has and we are Silletis, right? Like from my mother's side. So, there's a huge East Bengal, that Bangal community there. So they kind of wanted him to stand for, and when he said no, they kind of took him out. So that was very traumatic. I think also after my father passed away, I just, also now, I mean, when you go to Guwahati, you see the place, it doesn't feel like home. It's not the home that, I just feel Ajkal, just in India, and this is just my 2 bits, Northeast is a very special place, and the politics, I just feel that everybody, that all the CMs, and I'm just giving Meghalaya a little bit of a pass here, because I've seen how Conrad, like, I've seen the state, evolve.
Seems like he's doing something.
Something, yes.
I don't know how.
Even yes, even me. Coming back to just Guwahati, what I feel is there's a lot of, and I can, there's this whole like the very pro-Hindu stance on things, and okay, I can also understand that because they are trying to counter the Bangladeshi infiltration, because
But how is that countering?
that is what they are claiming.
I don't understand,
You know
this
what?
politics. Like, what are they even doing? Like, how do they even sleep? The politicians.
I mean, that's an interesting question. We must find out. I think you should interview a politician, and
Really?
this would actually be a very
How
good
do you
question.
sleep?
Sir, how do you sleep at night? Yeah.
After all the things that has
That-
happened,
yeah.
you know.
After all the orchestrating, all the things that you all are doing. No, but coming back to the politics of the Northeast, I just feel that, I mean, we've had the CA, NRC and all of that.
But what was the point of it?
Somebody explained that to me, because I was asked to go and vote, because they were like, no, you have to vote. And okay, I've voted twice, okay, 3 times. I mean, in all of my years of voting, from my legal age of 18 until, now I'm 36. So I voted twice. But I honestly didn't understand, because, there was a lot of pressure to just go and just vote for this thing.
Yeah.
So it kind of didn't, okay, I get it, voting is important and we all should do it. But also, like, it was, the other reason was my mother was like, they're going to count us, we are Bengalis and da da da. She also had that fear in her head, like, हम लोग तो बांग्लादेशी, नहीं है या कुछ like that. But I was like, Mama, my birth certificate is from Assam. Your birth certificate is, but there was this whole tension in everyone's mind, when this whole thing was going on.
Abhi, is it still there?
It is still there. I mean, it's still there, and I mean that's why I don't live there in Guwahati. For me, I just hope that there's more young leaders that come. I think young, and not just young. It has to be young, understanding. For me, from all the so-called political figures, I really like Conrad Sangma. I think you know, I just like the way that he's not very serious. You know, I think politicians also need to like take a break and, you know, like chill it out a bit, you know, not all the time everything has to be about politics. But yes, you know, also in like he's a people's person, no? And of course he's a rock star as a CM, so of course that's also an allure, you know, to his personality as opposed to a lot of the other people there. Also, I mean, Hemanta Biswa Sharma, apparently a lot of other people from India are very like big fans of him. I mean,
What
count me
about
out.
you? Are you?
Honestly, modern day politicians, I wouldn't know. I don't mind. In just my two bits of this, yes, it's very important to be aware.
Do you think he's doing well? From a journalistic point of view. Maybe your personal opinions aside.
In some ways, yes, but in many ways, no. No, I just feel that this whole communal thing that the current government is trying to kind of create, and I understand, yes, we have a need for, you know, yes, we are a Hindu country, you know, all of that. But I don't think, I think the Sanatan Dharma always said that, you know, we are not there trying to proclaim, you know, that we are the best, you know, because in our history, you know, of Bharatvarsha, you know, we never did that. We never went, you know, like we had always like people coming in from Europe who were trying to kind of, you know, control us and everything. But we as a country never went and did that. So why now, you know? But having said that, you know, few things, yes, I mean, he's built a lot of roads and, you know, so connectivity, I think has been solved for a lot of see, we don't know how this, you know, because we are from a privileged section.
Yes.
But I also try to think about people who are not from this privileged section. And, you know, apparently I heard that the government has given them a lot of schemes. You know, it's not like he's not doing things, he's doing also. But at the same time, you know, देखो लोगों को चीजें देके कोई, you know, आप change नहीं कर सकते. लोगों को जानना है how they can kind of use those things to, you know, bring about change for themselves, you know. So I
So
feel,
do you think people are voting for BJP because of the good things they're doing and not because of their ideology?
I feel right now, you know, we don't have proper opposition. You know, I think in Indian politics, there's a big lack of a good, you know, opposition. You know, and of course, yes, nowadays I think in the world everybody is just fueled by this whole religious rhetoric. You know, which I don't understand. You know, I think religion, it's a good thing. You know, but it's also like, you know, when you are very extreme. You know, like I wouldn't say I'm religious, but yes, you know, religion for me is just things that I do that keeps me close to my roots. You know, if you take it like that, yes, it's very good. But if you take it like, no, you know, my religion is the best. If you're out there and you're proclaiming things, that for me is something not right. You know, it's just like nationalism. You know, yes, it's very good to be proud of your country and but you know, that extreme kind of I mean, look at the world. What's happening? You know, in the global context.
Look at America, what is happening?
That's like, I mean, America is like, I mean, we need a longer time for this to discuss. But yes, I mean, you know,
And look at all the politicians of the world, not just India.
that's what I'm saying. I mean, look at Iran, America.
Crazy. But the
Of course.
craziest part is
Hmm.
we have elected them. So who's the crazier person? You know, them or
That's what I'm saying. We need to, you know, if people, you know, I believe in this, that the people united will always be victorious. This is what I believe. But, you know, unity again, that unity between people is again, you know, a big question mark. So I think that's why we have so much of what is happening around us, you know. And again, going back to see, in just my two bits, Indian politics, you know, we don't have young people that gravitate towards going to politics and representing. You know, you will mostly see leaders like who are like ex-cons, or, you know, mostly like, you know, even in the Northeast, a lot of these ministers and so-called
95%.
yes, for me, you know, why people, like, you know, why the other people are not going to kind of, you know, reform, you know, all of this, like, लोगों को होना चाहिए वो, you know, कि नहीं मुझे politics करना है,
But why do you think that is not happening? You know, having come from that background and also as a woman, you know, I am always asking from the woman's perspective.
No, absolutely, that's very important to know, because we live in a men's world,
Yeah.
but we are pushing and breaking glass ceilings.
Yeah.
So yes, I going back to what
Why
you
why do you think, the youths are not gravitating towards the political situation, taking not
Hmm.
taking up uh, leadership and all?
See, when we talk about these things and how things play out
Mm.
on the field is very different. Yes, we can talk a lot about ideologies, this and that, but the way it turns out practically is very different. And I think politics, it's a dirty game at the end of the day. It's just how it's being played. There's lobbying, there's a lot of stuff that happens that is morally not right. Like, if we can see in context of the world that they are killing so many people in Africa, in Israel, that's not right. But here we are again, just sitting and watching all of this from the comfort of our home. So for me, that's what I'm saying, that the way these things shape up, you know is very different than जब हम उसके बारे में बात करते हैं.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, I think nobody really, you really have to give it your all. अगर आप politician बनना चाहते हैं, you have to be a people's person,
Mm.
first and foremost. And see, it's also, I can understand, it's also difficult to make everybody happy.
Don't you think it's ironic that
Hmm.
a region with
Hmm.
so much of politics happening around,
Yes.
we don't have a good political leaders coming out?
In the
Why do you think that's happening?
it's just nobody wants to, like, kind of do the dirty work there, like.
But everybody is doing the dirty work.
In a way. But yes, I think now what I see is a few people are like, Pradyut is from the royal family of. So these, it was very surprising for me when he kind of, had this whole political inkling, because I'd known him, even personally. So I never thought, because he was always the rock and roll kind of prince, and he has properties in Shillong, no? So that's kind of how I knew him. But I also feel, let's see, these people are again coming and, like, taking, like, he is for the cause of the indigenous people, the Tiprasa people in Tripura. Also, I think they're trying to form this new alliance with Conrad Sangma, Pradyut, couple of. So I think that is interesting to see if they are able to form something like that. Yes, we need young leaders. We don't need any more ex-con leaders. This, that. We need young
leaders.
Yes, we need women. Of course, we need women leaders. We need young leaders. We need also people that understand. I had a lot of friends that when we were studying in college, they studied pol science and, they did masters. Guys, come on. Where did all that education go? I mean, also, I think at the end of the day, it's a choice. When you know too much about a certain field or something,
Women from our region,
Hmm.
do you think we are used politically, for political reasons?
Very
Or
much.
are we just mobilized for for their own agendas, or protected, selectively?
I think it's a bit of both. If you have connections, it's very easy to get away from things. Or if you come from privilege, it's very easy to get away from things. But if you're not from a very privileged background, or you're just, say, some tribal person, or like an Adivasi, it's different. It's always that class divide. Also, for somebody like, like for me, that I think I come from somewhat of a privilege, but still, there have been instances, where I didn't feel so welcome, or I didn't, as a woman, okay, or I had to really take another look at this situation, as a woman, because I wasn't comfortable. So yes, I think it works both ways. But having said that, I feel we still have a lot of patriarchy in Northeast. Still a lot of patriarchy, and like for me, when I
But then, the Northeast, it's called the place almost like a safe haven for women, and
Yes.
like a symbol of women empowerment in some
yes
sense.
yes
But
yes.
then you don't see any women leadership coming out of it.
In my personal opinion, and from whatever privilege I had, I would just like to say that, see, as a woman, there's still things that I can talk about still, or I can, or I can, like, through this podcast, I'm talking, I'm speaking my mind. But there are so many other women, out there that probably are still, like, you know living in families that don't allow them to be themselves, and this is something that even, like I told you at the beginning of the interview, that even I had to tone down a lot of my personality, or just how I am. And you cannot say things about this or that. There was this always this hush hush. And also, again, talking about patriarchy, I'm talking about few things from my personal experiences. So number one, so you lived in Guwahati, right? So Ulubari has this stadium, right? At the time, it was the only one. So I was very tomboyish as a kid, and I wanted to learn football, right? At the time, I was probably I just appeared for my ninth or eighth exam. I still in school, right? And I went and I said, I want to learn football. And they said, sorry, we don't have classes for women, right? And this was probably 2005, 2004, something like this. Yeah, that was already like, and they were telling me, "ठीक है, आप लड़की है, badminton खेलो जाके," which is okay. I mean, I excelled at it, but come on, but I'm happy, these things. Okay, I couldn't have it, but I'm happy that nowadays, when I have cousins, like I have female cousins, and I always try to push them. I always try to tell them, no, say what you feel, speak your mind. Don't be afraid to say or speak what you feel, even if it comes at the expense of, offending a few people. Because I think too many times while I was growing up, I was just asked to be like chup chap, or just say something to please people. I think we are taught to always be like, ha, yes sir, yes sir. This thing
And are
needs
you
to
good at it?
Not at all. No. Why do you think I'm a freelancer? Well, there's reasons for it. No, I think that this people pleasing thing needs to go.
Yeah.
I think we need to disrupt a few people now and again. That's important. Yeah.
But don't you think there are also dangers to it when you rub some people the wrong way?
Yes, of course, and that's why I said, see, it's not like it's
Especially in a world of journalism and
very true. I've also seen, like, I don't want to talk about dark stuff, but yes, there's
why can't we talk about dark stuff? Let's talk about dark stuff.
oh my god, okay, no, only because it's just also, I feel that a lot of these stories also are not probably mine to tell, and also I don't want to discourage people, but okay, yes, as you said, that how can you see, it's not about what you say, it's how you say it. Okay, so I feel that there's a way to say things without being like very edgy or aggressive about it. So there's a way to say it. We just need to learn how to say the right thing. See, like a very simple thing, I can tell you, oh Jackie, please, khana kha lo, or I can say, hey Shim, can you please go have your food. There's a way, to kind of say things. But yes, I think nowadays we live in the age of social media. Yeah, everything is just out there. But going back to a time when I started my career in things, it wasn't like that. I had seen senior journalists that are no longer with us because they kind of chose to write things about people that were powerful. And also when I started my career in the Telegraph as a very young journalist. Sorry, this was not Telegraph. This was with Times of India when I was interning. And I'm talking about 2008. 2008 is when I completed my 12th. So I'm 9-10, right? So we got this summer break from college, and they were like, okay, you have to go and do an internship. At the time, we didn't have internships. What is internships? Nobody knew in Guwahati. So, I went there asking for an internships. Okay. And, the editor at the time was, again, a Manipuri guy, Oinam Sunil. He was kind enough to get me on board. And it was really nice to learn under him. But, I also saw that, there were stories that were held back, stories that I had worked on. But, I was still an intern. So, I was just seeing everything from an outsider's perspective. And, I was patting myself on the back because we did this very amazing story on like a person. Of course, I wouldn't be naming names because, I would also not want, any disruption like that. But yes, it's somebody who was very politically charged, but who's also a very big contractor from the Northeast. And we did this whole story on him. And he was kind of caught in a poaching case. But the story never came out.
Okay.
Much later, I got to know why. And, at the time they told me, how much money he's pumping into advertising for this. So, how these things work. And that was my first introduction to, see, when you study things, like you have an ideology when you're young, when you're a student, we want to change the world. We want to do, like we're supercharged, we want to make an impact. But when you see things like that, you understand things differently. It's not all black and white.
So that experience was when you were interning.
Yes.
And
yes.
okay.
And when I saw that, I understood, okay, you cannot always speak your mind. And also in Telegraph, when I joined Telegraph, I wanted to do political journalism. I wanted to get into politics. I wanted to go to, you're charged as a kid,
And what happened?
My editor at the time, Pranab Bora, he told me, they were like, you're a woman, they probably wouldn't give you bites, it's not the place for you. So I had to back out. And so I did lifestyle. But I'm glad that nowadays, we have a lot of women in journalism that are kind of fearlessly, doing their job. So I'm also happy that, people are able to do these things. And, for me, it didn't happen, but, it's okay. But, I have my fair share of understanding. And honestly, now that I don't work in the media, I don't regret it so much, considering looking at how media works everywhere. For me, because I'm somebody, speaking the truth also comes at a certain cost, I've seen this thing, especially men. What happens is, people will try to tell you something from their experience of it. तुम्हारा अगर खराब experience रहेगा, तुम दूसरा को वही बोलेगा. It's an experience and they will always try to speak from their experience of things. They would not want to, you can have an experience that is completely different than mine, but they will always try to prod you and tell you. So I also had a lot of fallouts with my editors because of that. Because I didn't, they would tell me, no, this is not how you should do it. But I said, I have a brain. Let me think, let me sleep on it. Let me think this through, I can probably, do it my way. And so I've never been a pleaser anymore, I would always have a button with but also they appreciated it, because not a lot of people had that in them to come, just go and say things to the face, but I, like I said, I never had any filters, But again, Delhi mein all of these, all this dark side of this business and industry, all of these things I saw more when I lived out of. The first time I ever saw was a guy jacking in, Amar Colony. My first house was in Amar Colony, and that time I didn't know nothing. I'd come from Bombay, right? But they told me, Amar Colony, a lot of Northeast people stay, you'll like it, I lived there in a studio apartment. The guy on the next chat, he's jacking himself, man, in a broad daylight. He's completely naked.
Oh my God.
He has a gamcha in the head, and he's jacking himself. On my... and you know how the double-story terraces are, right? I was mortified, man. Mortified. And I'd never seen something like that. But then again, another time I was with this Kim I told you, she's this YP friend of mine, Mizo girl. And another friend, we were walking in, Marine Drive Shop Party, in Bombay. So we were walking this Wilson College ke aage. So we were, going towards Nariman Point. So we're walking. Suddenly, I see this, we saw this, and of course, because, they look more, what I'm talking about, more, the features and everything, more Northeastern. So, we thought that, okay, it's because, that time, they would target, if I had, taxi guys calling out to my friends, Nepali and all of that. That's just outright disgusting. And then my friends went on it. Of course, why not? And then you educate them. So then second time, they don't say it to you, Yeah, man, it was interesting, and that guy was he was walking and jacking himself in the middle of so many people walking on the bloody pavement.
And
ये सब चीज नहीं, और ये सब चीज तो हम okay, Guwahati में भी होता है, Guwahati is also no less, all of these things are a lot there, but I mean, this was a level, this was just one level up हो गया था. I was like, क्या है ये? Yeah, and also a lot of the time in workplace and all,
any that kind of experience here in Goa?
In a different way. So one time in Goa, what had happened was, the Siolim, the St. Anthony's, that school is there, na? So I was on a bike, okay, and I was going towards Morjim, and because the school is there, and like 5 years ago, yeah, there was not so much garis, and like now in the last 3-4 years, it's just too much of everything. That time it wasn't okay. So the school chutti hua tha, and it was very like crowded at the time, lot of traffic, and Seolim is a small road there. So while going, um, and everybody was in a very slow pace, right, going towards Morjim. I said dire 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 because this tiny road, and I had stopped. I just had to press my brake on the bike because these kids just ran like that, samne se. So I just SS press kar diya, and then what I did, I went and I like very slowly, on the bike when you go, and just banged on the bumper of another car. But okay, it's a bumper, and I've been driving from when I was 12, 13, yeah, so of course I know. And behind the bumper, there's always this rubber thing, right?
Yeah,
that
yeah.
you. So I was like, okay, TK, I hit there. So I did not have any reaction because sometimes people go and tuck, bang a little on the back, but it's as long as it's nothing major. So I was like, TK, I'm sitting there. After a minute or two, because we are still stuck in traffic, right? And I was like, TK, ho gaya, nothing. After a minute or two, I saw this really like dark guy, really like, brash looking, full coming out of the car with a tika and everything. But I was like, okay, whatever. He comes out, and the first thing he does is he takes my keys away, right? And I was very like, I was shocked. I was like, what happened? I said, chabi dijiye. I said, why you took my keys? Chabi do. I said, वहाँ पे, and then he said, नहीं, आप मेरा गाड़ी में क्यों लगाया? And then he said, I said, कहाँ लगाया? अब चलो check करता है. So what he tried to, he is showing me, supposing if I hit here, he was showing me on the top, like a small scratch on the top. I was like, Bhaiya, make it make sense. If I hit you from the piche, say, how are you going to get a scratch on the top? Like, right? And then, he was, of course, he was like, no, I want money for it, da, da, da. I said, okay, let's go to the cops. Let's go. And the cop was right there. And this is also one of the things, the cops in Goa have not been helpful. I have had situations where I have had a woman stalker. I filed a complaint at the Thana. They did nothing, by the way. Okay. I had another situation where a lady did not pay me my deposit, right? This was the first house that I had in Goa. She did not pay me my deposit. Okay, I let it go. And then what happened after that? She again got a new tenant. And that tenant somehow also had a similar experience. She contacted me. We both went and filed a complaint there. The cops did nothing. And that's also when I understood, okay, apparently if you're a local here, you get away with things. But anyway, this person, what he did, just going back to this crazy guy. So we went to the cop. We were like, sir, aisa, aisa. So they started talking in Konkani, right? So I was very pissed off, and I said, please, Hindi mein baat karo, ya English mein baat karo. I don't like this. And of course, and they were like patriarchal, full looking like that. And but he could also get that I'm also no less, so I was also very charged. So I said, well, I'm not going to pay you no money. So the police said, आप लोग आपका बात में आपका बीच में बात करके fix it. Yeah. So he said, like that. So I said, okay. And I went back. I said, Bhaiya, I'm not going to give you any money. And the guy gave the cop my key. So I took my keys and I ran over, like I was walking ahead. So this guy, what he does is, piche se I could see, he, like I was walking ahead there and he was right behind here somewhere. He picks up a stone, right? Like a massive stone like that. And then he walks up towards me. And I could see, like, I could see him from the corner of my eye. So, at one moment I just went to one of these restaurants and I hid there. So I saw what he did. He took the stone. He couldn't find me. So, he smashed the headlight of my bike. And the cop was right there. There were women on the road, man. Nobody did nothing. Nobody,
On that note, about your terrible experience
Yes.
with the police of Goa.
Yes.
Why
Yes.
don't we talk about your experience as an outsider living in Goa? Goa, everybody says it's open to everybody. It is open,
Yes.
right? It's such a beautiful place. You can just live here without any tension, without any mental stress that we get staying in a region like Northeast.
Yes, sure.
But share your experience like that,
I mean,
What is it like here, being an outsider?
Okay. I think I live in my little bubble now. A lot of the people come here for an alternative life, For me, I have always been living that alternative life wherever I was. I was never, following, things has to be like that, like this. I was always like, doing my own things wherever I was, So for me, like I told you again, just for me, the only reason I came here is for the slow pace of life, because we've grown up in smaller cities where the pace of life is also similar. For me to keep up in a Delhi and a Bombay, it was tough. Like my first 3 years, imagine for someone like me going out of Guwahati, going to Bombay, that is such a fast paced city. It was tough keeping up. Goa, that way, yes, there's a lot to do. There's a lot to, it has a lot to offer, but I choose to be by myself. I think one of the things that Goa had really taught me is to be happy in my own company, which probably a lot of these other places wouldn't have. But again, there's a whole underbelly to Goa. Please don't go by the looks of it all. I think do your research. A lot of the people just
Tell us a little bit about that underbelly thing.
See, Goa is a place that is controlled a lot by mafia, and I mean, it's not a secret. Everybody is just out there. So businesses here, to run a business, especially, it's not so easy. To run a business, you need to kind of have like solid relations, with this sort of syndicate, and then you can kind of do things, which again, I'm not very keen on. But yes, again, I feel, but for small businesses, I think Goa is an entrepreneur's paradise. If you have a small business or something, there's ample space. But when it's big numbers and big gains, then I mean, sorry, when it's big numbers, it's also the games are bigger. It's a whole different thing that goes on there. Also, by underbelly, I mean, you have it all. It's I mean, from drugs to parties to do. So I feel one needs to really be responsible for themselves. I don't know if you've heard this, because recently we just had this serial Russian killer on
Yes.
and there's somebody that he has confessed to killing this woman from Assam. I don't know if you've read about this. Very unfortunate. Very unfortunate. So these are the kind of things I think, and really my heart goes out to this person. But yeah, I mean, that's why your safety is always in your hands, 100%. I remember when 5 years ago, right after COVID, I came, and that time you didn't have so much lights in the street as you do right now. And I was, from the Seolim, the top of Seolim, when you go down, right, and you come back towards Vagator and the Seolim hill. At the time, there was no, it's still slightly dark than most other places, if you see. But now there's a lot of vehicles and everything. I remember the first year I had come here, and I had lost my way, right? Because, it takes a while to get all the gullies and everything to know the area, right? So I was a little bit lost, and it was around 8:30 in the night, right? It was pitch black. Suddenly I see a taxi guy coming, right? And then I was like, Bhaiya, do you know, like, which is the way, and da-da-da. And this guy was a dick. So he tells me, sorry, I hope I can say that, but he was, and you will know, I'm substantiating my reasons for it. So he thought I was going to follow him, and he was taking me through a different way, right? And for a minute I thought, okay, let me. But suddenly I saw from the other side this group. But something in me, it was an instinct, or I don't know what it was. Something kicked in me. I just didn't feel comfy, right? I was like, which way is it going? It's just, getting darker and darker. And suddenly I see this group of guys. I think they were tourists going the other way, right? And I stopped them and said, bye, wait, And I told them, I need to go to, and my phone had switched off, right? So I asked them, which is the direction, da, da, da. And they're like, hey, we are going that side, and then I realized, what the heck? This guy was trying to take me the other way. You know what I mean? So I really dodged, could have been anything. And especially after this incident, because see, I've lived in a place like Delhi, which people consider unsafe. Yes, there have been episodes in Delhi, as I told you. Yeah, there are all this really cheap, sleazy stuff, which of course, it was like, why would somebody want to grab your boob or your butt? It's just such a regressive mentality. Why, क्या मिलेगा तुमको?
Should we start doing that?
Also that, yeah. But also, I don't know. It's just, we come from the land of Kajura, like we have the Kama Sutra and everything, and yet we are shy to talk about it. It's the same with homosexuality. A lot of our sacred text, or, like mythology, like Mahabharata, there was Shikhandi, who was like a transgender, so we have all of these things, but and yet we are trying to like say, no, this is wrong, you're going to go to hell for this, so very regressive. But yeah, that was that one time, I really, like you said, it was very unsafe for me. And I sometimes I dread thinking about, oh God, what would have happened if I did not find those guys, I could have been in a completely different place, in a completely different episode. So that's why I've learned that, okay, no, your safety wherever you are is completely on yourself. And, Delhi, at least like the cops and all, I felt that it's slightly helpful. Here, as I told you, it's a completely different game. And this is coming from personal experience. I'm not just saying it to say, it's just things that I've faced, and in my opinion. And I do hope that, a lot of these things change, because I would like to hear that, yes, somebody, somebody got help, or something. Like I did not. So yeah, that was that.
Have you found your own community here? Like we were talking about making your own community,
Yes,
right?
absolutely. Yes. I hang out with a lot of.
What does your community look like? Is it all Northeasterners or?
Well, as of now, not a lot of Northeast people in Goa. Well, now I know two more. But yes, there's not a lot of Northeasterners here, honestly. So a lot of my community now, my boyfriend is Italian. So a lot of the people that I know are mostly Italians or, Europeans or, I do have a few Indian friends here, there, but very rare, it's mostly like me and my partner and just his extended, like his friends that are like my extended community now. So yeah, it's sweet, and yeah, I try to tell them about Northeast, and they don't know so much about the Northeast. So I try to, and by the way, they're very impressed by our culture, and that's why I say that it really depends on us how we present it to people. That they really want to know so much about the Northeast, and they say that it's like a region that has a lot of richness, and at the same time we are very humble. There's a lot of richness in terms of people's hearts.
Yeah.
No, I'm not talking about richness in terms of cash or money, but people are rich in their hearts, and I think a lot of foreigners also understand this, so which is very refreshing to see. Yeah,
You just said ki your boyfriend is Italian.
yeah, yeah.
And how is that playing out in your?
Cross culture, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I have had friends, I have had friends before whose partners were like, like Italian or something. So I think cross.
Your family are they like okay with it?
Well, my family had to kind of give up on this aspect, because they tried fixing marriages and all of that, but they also know she's so headstrong, she's not gonna probably, listen to us. So let her choose the one she feels is good. So yes, it's definitely, anything that is cross cultural is not easy. I would say requires a lot of patience. Also because many things are different. Be it in terms of food, be it in terms of just day-to-day basic things, for them, like one thing that I really appreciate in foreigners, is that they're very upfront. They'll tell you like how it is. As Indians, we are always taught to say things, to tailor it a certain way so that we don't hurt other people.
Yeah.
Sometimes, I think I had also said this before, sometimes that's not the case. Sometimes you need to tell people exactly how it is, So this is one thing that I learned from them very much. Yes, like my boyfriend, for instance, he's very, like, he's not like a believer in terms of like, they believe that they are the gods for themselves, like, because they did everything for themselves, Again, like if you see it, I'm very, when I do my little puja and of course he doesn't mind it, but he's different. So I think also we give that space to each other to be, as long as we are not disrespecting each other's culture or something. Like for me, I cannot eat pasta and every day, and it's just not me. So I take my occasional rice breaks, and he cannot eat rice and all of this stuff that, like, I tried to give him stinky beans one time, he couldn't. Akhuni, he just couldn't. And I was like, look, when you have blue cheese, it's just the same for me. It smells and I cannot. So yeah, it's like that.
I don't like blue cheese.
Yeah,
I tried
me
once.
neither. I can eat stinky, like, we also
Yeah.
eat a lot of stinky stuff,
Yes.
right?
but
but
not blue cheese.
yes, it's very different, you know. So yeah, I think as long as, you know, you give space to each other and also try to imbibe and learn and, you know, adapt. I don't want him to become an Indian. I don't want to become an Italian, you know. But yes, like, you know, the best thing about cross-cultural relationships is that you create your own culture, you know, in some ways. So yeah, I think I'm in my own little way trying to do that in my own little way. Yeah.
You know, being a northeasterner,
Mm.
being a woman,
Mm.
do you get tired of explaining yourself, of explaining your origin, or you know, those
Yeah,
stereotypes and
yeah, yeah.
all?
Sometimes I do, and sometimes yes, yes. But sometimes I also want people to kind of know. I like to, like I said, I like to talk. I like to tell people, you know, more about where I come from and you know, the culture and the place in general. Um, Also, you know, I'm like, if somebody also tells me about certain things, and you know, like for Goa, you know, for instance, we just know such, you know, it's so massive, we don't know about half of still, you know, Goa, right? So when people tell me, okay, there's old Goa, there's this place there, you can see that, I'm open to it, you know. So I also feel that it's also kind of my responsibility sometimes to explain to them, you know. And sometimes, yes, I get a little offended, and you know, and then I'm like, okay, like, you know, let it go, like, don't bother myself. But most of the time, yes, I try to tell them, you know, in a nice way. Yeah.
And do you think it has helped you at times, of you being in not, you know, from someone
Mm,
from northeast? Like, have you got something, you know, or have you any advantage, any advantage of being a northeasterner?
sometimes, yes, I would just, like, you know, when I was working in the restaurant sometimes, you know, and they would just talk too much in Hindi and everything. And, you know, of course I understood things, you know, but I would just act like I don't get nothing. I was like, ha, kya bol raha hai? Like, you know, like, act very like, naim, ha, like, what are you saying? Like, you know, and yeah, just like, you know, not be part of that banter, you know. So sometimes, yeah, but I don't know if that's a very good thing or a bad thing, you know. But yeah.
You didn't get any like special privileges?
No, yeah.
No.
No, I wish, but sadly, no.
No, you don't.
No, no, no.
Yeah. So, lastly,
Yeah,
what would you say to others from Northeast
yeah.
who are, you know, even thinking about moving out here in Goa? Like, what are the good things and
Okay.
what are the bad things? Like, say
Huh.
five bad things and five good things about living in Goa.
If you're gonna put a number to it, that's gonna be tough. But okay, I'm gonna try and sum it up. See, I would say don't make a move just because you want to move, you know. See the place. I think, like for me, when I moved to Goa, I lived here for 2 months. I wanted to see. And then, of course, when I was running out of money, and my mom was like, okay, you know, you gotta do your own thing now. So I was like, okay. And you know, that's when I kind of hustled and I found out my way. But having said that, see, I would also say that when you're young, move to like a city, because you know, you would learn things there. Goa still has a long way to go in terms of proper planning, in terms of, you know, having like proper workspaces, you know, in terms of having that work culture, you know. Here everything, like in the metros, everything is very fast paced. Here it's equally, it's way too relaxed for my liking, you know. Sometimes I don't like that. So I think learn your work, you know what you want to do. Come here, see the place, see if you feel like, you know, here is something that, you know, that you can do. If also, you know, if you're a small business person, you know, you do some craft or something, then definitely that is the place for you. I think in my case, that didn't happen like that. But yes, you know, I see a lot of my artist friends here, you know, who've come. People with kids, you know, have moved here because they want their kids to kind of grow in nature, you know, and not on a iPad or a phone all the time, you know. And I'm talking about my friends and their kids, you know. So I've also seen that. So you need to assess these things, you know. Also, Goa is not easy. You're not gonna have like I had friends also who've moved from Delhi, right, and who couldn't survive Goa, right, because they wouldn't drive. You have to know either a car or a bike, you know, on your own. Of course, now, you know, there is public transport, but it is not so easily available. So you need to also consider that. You also need to consider that the distances, you know, like Panjim, say North Goa to, you know what I'm talking about. So it's really far. So, you know, you really have to plan, you know, if you have to go from point A to point B. So you really need to like take a lot of things into account. And good things is like, of course, tropical weather, food is very good. Um, you meet a lot of people. I think Goa is one of those places that teaches you to really rely on yourself, because that is what I learned, self-reliance, you know. I learned to believe in myself that, okay, you know, I can stay in a very bad situation and I can still come out of it, you know. So, and I'm just talking about like natural calamities. My first year of moving here, I remember it used to rain so crazy. Now actually the rains have lessened because there's so much buildings around. But that first year, you can't go out nowhere, and I was just alone, you know. And there was like, you know, this power cut, and you know, I didn't have an inverter where I was staying, so it was really tough. And you know, I was like staying without, like, for long hours without electricity, and you know, full flood and you know everything. But I was like, I beat the odds. So you know, it really taught me to kind of, you know, rely on myself. And yeah, it's still a small place, you know, so everything is very repetitive, right? Like the circles are very repetitive, you know. So that's one disadvantage. Secondly, it's far, you know, for us to travel from the west coast to bloody northeast is like, you know how long, it's just the long layovers and everything. So that's one thing. It's really far from, you know, other places. Like I said, I think still things are improving, but yes, the locals here, I mean, you know, they are a little, and I can understand that, you know, they are a little bit, as much as they love outsiders, they also have that thing, which is understood, because they would also want to protect their local culture, you know. But at the same time, they kind of get along. So you know, it's a mixed bag. I just can't say like, you know, everything like, no, it's black and white. No, I mean, you know, it's all shades of, you know, like, it's all shades, you know. You just have to figure out for yourself. But yeah, I think at least I think for people who want to come here, definitely, you know, as I said, that please come, see it for yourself, see if this is what you want. And this applies to people from the northeast, wherever you go, you know. Because yes, I understand, you know, in our place we don't have, like, I went out of the northeast because education, you know.
What
but
about people to Goa? What would you like to say to Goa?
visit northeast. Yes, you will see we are more alike than we are different, you know.
I feel so. I
Yeah,
feel so too.
yeah, I think maybe the way the people look, but of course they have the fish. We love our fish too. I mean, they have all this water. We have our waterfalls and rivers and forests. That's, you know, what I feel. And tell me if this is what you also feel. I think it's like the northeast, but on a much, it's amplified. You know, you have the sea here. Everything is just
Yeah.
more bigger, as opposed to, say, you know, when we are in the northeast, where things are like slightly more smaller. It's probably because the mountains and the hills, you know, probably feel like that. But I just feel it's just like home, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's why I feel more at home here than I have anywhere else. Guys, don't expect when you come, because you know, it happened to me. I took a pay cut when I moved to Goa. You might not, people here don't want to pay you as what, you know, you would make in the cities, which is understandable. But still, please set your standards. Don't, you know, because once you let that go, it's really tough to get.
Back to
Yes. So, you know, this is also something that I learned, you know. So, yeah, if you want to make less money, you're okay with where you're staying, you know. See, success is different for everybody, you know. For me, I like a low, quiet life, you know. I'm not running after big bucks, you know. I'm not wanting to be seen by the world. And I mean, I've done all of that. So, you know, that's why I moved here after that, you know, because I want quiet. I want, you know, I want meaning from my life, that I give meaning to, not what is, you know, happening around me.
Okay. So we are here. Our episode is ending. And I want to thank you so much, Pallavi.
Thank you also. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. And thank you.
Thank you so much
Really
for sharing
appreciate
your
it.
journey here.
Likewise.
You shared so
Likewise.
many stories. I hope people will resonate, or people will something, you know, take away something.
Yes, absolutely.
right?
That was the reason to do this. And thank you so much. I really appreciate. Thank you for
Yeah.
making me part of this whole collective
No,
of
thank you,
yours.
thank you,
And
thank
yeah,
you
I
so
really
much.
appreciate that. Keep doing the great work that you all do.
Thank you. And we have something for you.
Ooh.
So this is
Oh wow!
something
Okay,
for you.
that's
which
my
Our
lovely
amazing
hamper.
sponsors and supporters have curated
Ah,
this
okay.
small gift.
And it's all the way coming from?
Manipur.
I love this. What's not to love?
This is all homegrown brands of Manipur creating
Please
fantastic
support.
stuff.
Yes.
Yes, support local. Okay.
Always. Thank you so much.
And please tell
Yes.
these people
Yes.
to subscribe, comment, share, वगैरह वगैरह वगैरह.
Subscribe, like, comment. You know where to you know where to go to. The handle?
Yes, everyday ordinary.
Everyday ordinary.
Yeah. Subscribe. Go.
Like, comment.
Yes, share. And I hope you enjoy. And we will bring you more stories like this one. Bye.
Signing off.
Bye.